There is a hidden secret to thriving in every area of life. It's found in a single verse of the Bible that, when deeply understood, can transform your financial, mental, and spiritual reality. Psalm 1:3 says, "He is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever he does prospers." This is more than just a beautiful metaphor. It's a divine spiritual law, one that has also been recognized in different words by modern thought leaders like Bob Proctor and Neville Goddard. What the Bible describes as a tree planted by streams of water, they interpreted as a mind aligned with the source, nourished by faith, clarity of purpose, and disciplined action. The first part of the verse speaks about being planted by streams of water. This image represents proximity to the right source. In biblical symbolism, water means flow, wisdom, and constant nourishment. Practically speaking, it means keeping your mind close to elevated ideas, constructive knowledge, and people and content that strengthen your spirit and purpose. Your mind must be fed daily with what causes growth. That means reading quality books, listening to uplifting teachings, meditating on the Word, and reviewing your goals every single day. The practical question here is, what have you been watering your mind with? The second part says, the tree bears fruit in due season. This eliminates hurry and the desire for instant results. Prosperity is not a leap, it's a process. Bob Proctor taught that everything begins with a clear, defined desire, but fulfillment requires persistence, focus, and patience. The fruit doesn't appear the next day, but it comes at the right time, when the roots are deep and faith is alive. That's why he emphasized clarity of goals. Know how much you want to earn, what you want to achieve, and how you want to feel once you get there. You need to mentally see your fruit before it shows up in reality. Write this down. Visualization. With emotion as nourishment for your inner tree. There's another powerful detail in the verse. The tree does not wither. That means emotional resilience, faith in adversity, and consistency in daily habits. One of the greatest enemies of prosperity is premature quitting, starting with enthusiasm, but giving up at the first difficulty. Neville Goddard said faith is sustained by persistent imagination, that you must dwell in the desired state until it becomes real. Here's where a powerful practice begins. Declare your purpose out loud every single day. Write it down clearly. Speak it when you wake up and before you sleep. This repetition builds what we call auto-suggestion, a programming of the mind and spirit that strengthens your belief. Comment below if you already do this, or if you're going to start today. I will declare my purpose every day. Then the verse ends with the key to prosperity. Whatever he does shall prosper. Notice, it doesn't say some things. It says whatever. This isn't magic. It's the natural result of inner alignment. When your mind is nourished by streams of wisdom, when your faith stays strong, and when you act with clarity and consistency, everything you do becomes fruitful. As Bob Proctor said, success is the harmony of thought, faith, and persistent action. Prosperity manifests when you become that steady, resilient, and fruitful tree, rooted in the Word and guided by the Spirit. Want a practical step right now? Grab a notebook and write at the top, "My definite purpose." Then underneath, describe in detail what you want to achieve, how much you want to earn per month, what your ideal routine looks like, what kind of person you are becoming. Read that every day. Feel it as if it's already real. Starting today, you are no longer a scattered seed. You are a tree planted with intention. And if you want that tree to flourish, you must begin by nourishing the root. Like this video, comment below what you wrote as your purpose and share this message with someone who needs to plant the tree of prosperity today. Being planted by streams of water is the first image in Psalm 1:3. This powerful metaphor means more than just being near a source. It speaks of connection to what feeds your mind, your faith, and your results. According to the teachings of great minds like Napoleon Hill, Bob Proctor, And Neville Goddard, one of the most critical decisions you can make for lasting prosperity is this: choosing where and with whom you plant your mind. By nature, the mind absorbs the environment it's placed in. Napoleon Hill used to say that the subconscious is like fertile soil. Whatever you plant in it, faith or fear, optimism or doubt, will grow. This confirms a powerful spiritual truth. Whatever he does shall prosper depends on where and how you are planted. Being by the waters means being surrounded by ideas, words, people, and influences that strengthen your faith and align with your purpose. If you want to grow, you must urgently evaluate what you're consuming, which voices are shaping your thoughts, and with whom you're sharing your dreams. This next practice is simple, but life-changing. Eliminate everything that dries out your faith. Avoid content that feeds scarcity, jealousy, or fear. Instead, nourish your mind with the Word of God and uplifting teachings, books that elevate your vision, videos that awaken your spirit, even just 15 minutes a day of intentional reading. That's how you water your inner garden with clean streams. Write in the comments, "I choose to plant myself in fertile soil." And it's not just about what you consume, it's also about who you walk with. Napoleon Hill found that the most successful people had something in common. They surrounded themselves with others who strengthened their values, supported their goals, and fed their faith. He called this a mastermind, a group of minds united, in harmony and aligned by a greater purpose. It's not just about business. It's about creating a fertile field where ideas grow, faith renews, and vision expands. You can build your own growth circle. Start with just 2 or 3 people who share your values and a sincere desire to grow. Meet weekly, even online. Talk about goals, spiritual progress, lessons learned, and current challenges. That exchange becomes like a living river for all of you. Hill said that when 2 minds unite in faith and harmony, a third invisible force is created, a creative intelligence that brings solutions, opportunities, and insights. Neville Goddard taught that shared faith and imagination accelerate manifestation. This is more than a technique. It's a spiritual law operating in the unseen. But be warned, not all water is clean. If you plant yourself near polluted sources, negative environments, destructive words, draining relationships, your tree absorbs that too. And instead of fruit, what you get is withering and stagnation. That's why it's so important to filter what enters your mind. Hill warned, the mind doesn't distinguish between what's said in jest and what's said seriously. Whatever you repeat, it absorbs as truth. So if you're constantly saying, "It's hard," "This isn't for me," "Everything is expensive," your mental soil takes that in as instruction, and your harvest will be small, even with big plans. Prosperity is real. It's spiritual, practical, and accessible. But it requires that you plant yourself in the right place, water consistently, and guard what enters your roots every single day. Be intentional, be selective. Be like the tree in Psalm 1:3, firm, nourished, fruitful, and unshakable. Do you want to be planted by streams of water? Start with life-giving words. Create affirmations. Say every day, "My mind is connected to the source of abundance. Everything I do prospers in the right season. I act with faith, focus, and discipline." Speak these with conviction. Romans 10:17 says, "Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Christ." That includes what you hear from yourself. The words you repeat become roots. When you declare in faith, you plant truth deep inside you. Napoleon Hill confirmed this spiritual truth. He taught that emotionally charged repetition of positive ideas transforms the subconscious. And when your mind changes, your reality changes with it. What the Bible presents as eternal principle, Hill translated into mental language. Everything begins in the invisible, in what you believe, feel, and affirm with consistency. Now, take this seriously. What source are you most connected to each day? What waters are nourishing your mind? That question is critical, because if the roots are planted in dry ground, no amount of effort will bear fruit. Here's a simple yet powerful exercise. Write down the 5 people you spend the most time with. Then ask yourself, do these people draw you closer or further from your purpose? Next, do the same with the content you consume. What are you watching, listening to, reading each day? Is it feeding you or drying you out? After that honest inventory, make a decision. Today, I choose to feed on wisdom and cut off the sources that dry me up. If that speaks to you, write that sentence in the comments now. This is a personal commitment to your own transformation, and this is only the beginning. Wealth is not just money, it's an internal state that expresses itself outwardly. It's clarity, peace, faith, direction, and abundance in every area. And that state begins at the root. Plant yourself today beside the right waters. Strengthen your faith with declarations. Feed your mind with enriching material. Surround yourself with people who elevate your vision. The tree of wealth doesn't grow by accident. It grows through intention, through conscious choice of where and how you want to flourish. And if this message is speaking to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video, support the message, and keep watering the inner rivers that will one day bear your fruit. One of the most powerful and often overlooked parts of Psalm 1:3 is when it says the tree bears its fruit in season. This reveals a deep spiritual lesson. Prosperity does not appear in the time of anxiety. It arrives in the time of preparation. No tree produces fruit before its roots are grounded, before the trunk is strong, and before the leaves have absorbed enough light. This spiritual truth aligns with what Napoleon Hill discovered through decades of study. He said, "Desire is the starting point of all achievement, but that desire only becomes reality when transformed into persistent action. That means it's not enough to want something. You must plant, water, and keep going, even when it seems like nothing is happening." If you're in a phase right now where results feel distant, understand this. You're in the underground phase, the season of the roots, the season of internal growth. And it's in this stage that your faith is tested. Hill said that the greatest riches are formed in silence, far from the eyes of others. And the Bible echoes this. The tree does not wither because its roots are alive, even when the fruit has not yet appeared. True faith does not depend on external signs. Active faith keeps believing, speaking, and acting even when the surface shows no change. That's why Hill recommended, act as if success is already on its way. Live like someone who knows they are in a season of preparation, not rejection. Someone who knows the harvest is guaranteed for those who plant with faith, nourish with wisdom, and remain firmly planted by the waters. Want a clear, practical exercise? Every morning when you wake up, write down your goal as if it were already real. Instead of saying, "I want financial freedom," write, "I am financially free and I earn $20,000 per month from my thriving business." This is not delusion, it's mental conditioning. You are planting seeds of abundance in the soil of your subconscious. Napoleon Hill called this the transmutation of desire into faith and persistent action. Bob Proctor said the same thing in different words. Everything starts with the image you hold of your life in your mind, because that's what the subconscious accepts as truth. But here's a critical warning. If you plant today and dig it up tomorrow to see if it has sprouted, you'll never harvest anything. The farmer doesn't reap because of anxiety. He reaps because he trusts the process. Prosperity works the same way. It's active trust expressed through disciplined routine. Galatians 6:9 says, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." In other words, the fruit will come, but only if you stay the course. So, the second practical step is to create a simple action plan for your goal. It doesn't have to be perfect. It needs to be clear, Write down 3 small actions you can take today. Just 3 simple steps that will move you closer to your purpose. And do one of them now. Declare in the comments, "I am acting in the right season." This reinforces your emotional commitment and roots your intention in both spirit and reality. Napoleon. Hill observed that successful people live with a controlled sense of urgency. They don't act from desperation, but they also don't wait endlessly. They treat time as an ally. They understand there's a time to plant, a time to water, and a time to reap. Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every purpose under heaven." Each season demands a different behavior. If you're in a planting season, invest in learning, prayer, and healthy connections. If you're watering, take action, course correct, and stay focused. If you're reaping, celebrate and share the blessings wisely. Every season is sacred. Hill also taught the importance of keeping your purpose always in front of your eyes. Simple yet powerful technique is to carry a goal card. Write your main goal on a small card. Keep it with you. Read it several times a day. Visualize it completed. Feel gratitude in advance. Neville Goddard said, "To imagine with faith is to create, and that the consciousness of the fulfilled desire is the bridge to its realization." This practice keeps your mind aligned with what you want to manifest, even if your outer environment hasn't caught up yet. Now, take an honest look at your life. What season are you in? Are you planting, watering, reaping? What blocks prosperity is not time. It's lack of preparation during time. Psalm 1:3 doesn't say the tree bears fruit immediately. It says it bears fruit in its season. And that season is not a date on a calendar. It happens when you are ready inside. When your root system is deep, your structure is strong, and your faith is alive. So, look again at your routine. What are you doing today to strengthen your inner structure? Which daily habits are moving you toward your harvest? And which ones are draining your energy, distracting your focus, or weakening your faith? Prosperity requires pruning. You must cut what weakens you: distractions, excuses, limiting thoughts, toxic company. Only then can your life force concentrate on the right branches, the ones that will bear fruit in due time. And to stay consistent, Hill emphasized the power of firm decision. Bob Proctor said, "Decisions, not conditions, determine your destiny. Don't leave your goals open-ended. Set a date, set a target, set what will happen." Those who act with clarity activate the power of intention. Those who live in doubt weaken their roots. So today, make a decision, even a small one, but let it be clear, and support that decision with daily action until the fruit starts to show. Because the tree of prosperity doesn't grow from wishful thinking. It grows through discipline and faith. If you've made it this far, you're not just hearing words. You are being watered by spiritual and mental truths that can transform your life from the inside out. If this message is speaking to your heart, write in the comments, "My fruit will come in the right season," and share this with someone who needs to know that success has a time, and that time is being built right now, at the root level. The tree planted by the waters, as Psalm 1:3 describes, is the one whose leaves do not wither. This image reveals a powerful spiritual principle. True prosperity does not depend on external circumstances, but on inner stability. The leaves represent consistent vitality, a life that remains green and strong despite heat, wind, or drought. A faith that does not fade, even when results have not yet appeared. Napoleon Hill observed throughout his decades of research that the most successful people weren't necessarily the most talented or privileged, but those who kept their minds alive, focused, and emotionally strong. He said that persistence is the bridge between desire and achievement, and that's exactly what the psalm is teaching. The tree that doesn't wither is the one that stays alive even in difficult times, because it's rooted in the right source. Bob Proctor emphasized that the mind must be guarded daily against negativity. He taught that you must feed your faith more intentionally than the world tries to feed your fears. Neville Goddard added that sustained faith is the key that unlocks any door. This shows us that the prosperous mind is the one trained to resist, focus, and persevere. But what makes someone wither in life? Two main forces, fear and doubt. Napoleon Hill identified the 6 greatest fears that sabotage prosperity: fear of poverty, criticism, illness, loss of love, old age, and death. He clearly stated, fear and faith cannot dwell in the same mind at the same time. One will always drive out the other. That's why the daily practice for anyone who wants to prosper is to constantly feed their faith until fear loses its grip and fades away. Want a simple and powerful exercise? Take a piece of paper and write down, what am I most afraid of today? Face it directly. Hill said that fear loses its power when exposed to the light of awareness. Then create an affirmation that directly counters that fear. For example, if you're afraid of failure, write, I am resilient and every challenge makes me stronger. Read this phrase out loud every day for 21 days. Feel its truth. You'll start to notice your inner leaves becoming stronger, more resistant to external pressure. Another essential point, the tree that doesn't wither remains steady even without immediate signs of progress. Hill warned that many people quit when they are just inches away from gold. They were close to the result, but didn't know it. That's why faith and persistence must walk together. Confidence in the invisible is a spiritual muscle, and it grows with practice. Hebrews 10:35 says, do not throw away your confidence, it will be richly rewarded. Here's a practical tip. Create a small daily victory ritual. It could be writing down your goals, saying a prayer of gratitude, or completing an important task. These small, consistent actions develop deep roots, and a mind with deep roots does not wither under pressure. A mind that does not wither is also one that protects itself from the negativity of its environment. Hill spoke often about the destructive impact of other people's opinions. When you share your dreams with those who don't believe in you, you run the risk of absorbing their doubt. That weakens your faith. That's why you need to practice what we call strategic silence. Work in silence until your fruits speak for you. Only share your plans with those who water your vision. If you've ever doubted yourself because of someone else's opinion, write in the comments, I've doubted myself because of others. Just becoming aware of this is the first step toward liberation. Because when you protect your mind, strengthen your faith, and stay rooted by the waters, your leaves will not wither. Your roots will grow deeper, and your fruit will come in the right season. Napoleon Hill also teaches us about the power of active faith. It's not enough to believe. You must act like someone who has already won. That mindset is what keeps your leaves alive. When you keep moving forward, even without immediate returns, when you walk with conviction, even in the midst of uncertainty, you're sending a powerful message to your subconscious. Victory is inevitable. The tree that doesn't wither doesn't depend on external rain, because its roots reach deep waters, symbolizing the inner strength cultivated through faith, discipline, and purpose. Here's a transformative practice. Write a letter to your future self. Imagine you've already achieved what you currently desire. Describe how you feel, what has changed in your life, what you've learned along the way. Read this letter weekly. This technique, called creative visualization, was used by Hill, Bob Proctor, and even elite athletes and leaders around the world. It keeps your mind anchored in the already done state rather than maybe someday. And this is the mindset of the planted tree. It lives from certainty, not doubt. Now be honest with yourself. What has been making your faith wither? Is it the environment you live in? The negative voices around you? Constant comparison with other people's lives? Identify this and cut it at the root. Prosperity demands pruning. Cut out everything that drains your spiritual energy. Strengthen everything that nurtures your essence. Psalm 1:3 and Hill's principles agree. Those who cultivate consistent faith and practice disciplined action do not wither, they flourish. And then the verse reaches its most bold and transformative conclusion, and whatever he does shall prosper. Whatever, that word carries a divine promise. It doesn't say some things. It doesn't say if the world cooperates. It says everything. But this promise isn't automatic. There's a silent condition built into it. The person must be planted by the waters. This means being rooted in faith, nourished by wisdom, guided by purpose, and sustained by aligned action. This is precisely where the teachings of Hill, Proctor, and Goddard intersect with this eternal truth. Hill taught that prosperity is not a matter of chance. It is the direct reflection of a mind aligned with a clear purpose, backed by faith, and translated into persistent action. When this internal structure is solid, everything around you begins to align, because prosperity is the natural outcome of a well-positioned inner force. The real secret lies in the quality of your action. It's not about doing just to stay busy, it's about acting in harmony with your purpose. To prosper in everything you do requires presence, excellence, and intention. Bob Proctor emphasized that frequent purpose-driven actions are more powerful than the perfect plan never acted on. That's why Hill stressed this principle. Successful people make decisions quickly and change their minds slowly. They don't wait for the perfect scenario. They create momentum, and momentum generates results. So here's how you apply this now. Choose one area of your life where you've been hesitating. Maybe it's your health, your finances, your spiritual growth, or even your relationships. Now make a clear decision and take one step immediately. Don't wait for perfect timing. Napoleon Hill said, "You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step." That's faith in action, and that's what activates prosperity in everything you do. Another crucial pillar is mastering your daily habits. Hill dedicated an entire chapter to the power of habit, because he knew that life's greatest results rarely come from a single big decision. They come from small actions repeated consistently, even when no one is watching. Prosperity is a lifestyle. A successful entrepreneur isn't someone who had one good idea. It's someone who takes daily steps, who shows up even on the ordinary days. This is the hidden key behind the tree that doesn't wither and everything that prospers. Invisible. Consistency, quiet faith, determined action. As Proverbs 4:25-26 says, "Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways." Prosperity is secure when you walk with intention, and everything you do shall prosper. A simple and deeply effective habit is to create a daily victory board. Write down 3 small wins every day. Maybe you stuck to a good habit. Maybe you avoided a distraction. Maybe you took a small step towards your purpose. These notes reprogram your mind to recognize your own progress. They reinforce the belief that you are already prospering, even in the little things. If you're going to do this, say it out loud now. I will write down my victories every day. True prosperity reveals itself when you bring presence, excellence, and intention to everything you do, not just to your big dreams, but to how you clean your home, how you speak to people, how you nourish your body, and how you structure your days. Colossians 3:23 reminds us, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for people." That is the mindset of prosperity. Everything you touch carries the energy of intention. There's also a spiritual principle called momentum. It's when you move into action with clarity and consistency, and suddenly it feels like the universe starts to conspire in your favor. Doors open, opportunities show up. The right people appear. That's not luck. That's the natural harvest of someone who plants with intention and acts with faith. Psalm 37:5 says, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act." But there is a silent enemy of prosperity: distraction. Doing many things without direction is not prosperity, it's energy wasted. A scattered mind loses focus, and with it loses strength. That's why you must practice the essential. Choose your top 3 goals and focus most of your energy on them. Bob Proctor used to say, "Energy flows where attention goes," and "Where there is focus, there is growth." And never forget this: true prosperity is directly connected to service. Psalm 1 speaks of a fruitful tree, but a tree doesn't eat its own fruit. It gives shade, it gives nourishment, it inspires. Proverbs 11:25 says, "A generous soul will prosper, and he who refreshes others will himself be refreshed." If you want to prosper in all you do, start by asking, how does this help others? How do my ideas, my gifts, my work improve someone's life? That's the spiritual code of multiplication. So today, choose to prosper in what you do. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Change your presence, change your intention, change your energy. And declare with faith, "Everything I do prospers because everything I do has purpose." Write that down in the comments if you're truly committed to living Psalm 1:3, with your feet grounded and your spirit lifted. After everything we've uncovered so far, it's clear. Psalm 1:3 is not just a beautiful poetic verse. It's a spiritual and mental roadmap to unlock true prosperity. The tree represents you, grounded, aware, intentional. The waters represent wisdom, habits, and connections that nourish you. The right time represents active patience. The green leaves represent emotional and spiritual resilience. And the final promise, "Whatever he does shall prosper," is simply the visible result of that alignment in action. You're not a lost seed. You are the tree of Psalm 1. And now that you know this code, you can no longer live as if you don't. True wealth begins with a decision to plant yourself with intention, to consciously choose what waters your mind, which voices you'll allow in, what thoughts you'll repeat, to act with purpose even when results haven't yet appeared, to silence fear with faith, and to understand that real prosperity is far more than money. It's having deep roots, abundant fruit, and the ability to bless other lives with what you've built. The Bible says in James 2:17, "Faith without works is dead," and Napoleon Hill said that knowledge only has power when it is applied. That means the worst thing you can do now is admire these truths without putting them into action. So here's your practical mission. Write your definite purpose with clarity. Read this statement every day with emotion and conviction. Identify which waters are nourishing or drying out your mind, and eliminate what drains you. Build new habits. Start with just one: reading, prayer, visualization, or action. Surround yourself with people who believe in you or are on the same journey. Decide that your faith will be stronger than your fear, and declare with conviction, "Everything I do prospers because I am planted by the right waters." Type this in the comments right now. I am the tree of Psalm 1:3, because declarations activate transformation. And if this message touched your heart, share it with at least one person. Remember, those who plant wisdom in others reap prosperity for themselves. This is the essence of true wealth. A tree doesn't bear fruit just for itself. It protects, it feeds, it inspires, and that's exactly what you are called to do: prosper and transform. You don't need more luck, you need deeper roots. And now you have them. The decision has been made. The seed has been planted. The ground is ready. The waters are flowing. Now it's your time to grow.